Superman,
Of
absolute number 2.
We've talked about it on the show.
All in.
Of the Trinity, it is you and I had it lower. Then we really dug on Batman and Wonder Woman, but we needed to be sold a little bit more on Superman. I think you and I could agree this issue is better. I think
this makes me want to read number 3.
Yes.
So, last week we talked about it, and the first thing that I keep trying to think, what is it that is, what is the genre defining, what is the character defining trait? And somebody said that he comes to, somebody at the comic shop said that he comes to Earth as an adult instead of a baby. And I'm like, okay, all right, okay.
I like that,
okay,
yeah.
all right. So now that...
So Mom and Pa Kent don't exist.
I think once... We don't know.
As we know, yeah.
But I think having my grasp around that, my hand gripped tightly around it.
In a jerking motion.
I think that makes it more intriguing to me because we start the book off, and it's Krypton, the Redlands, 6 years ago, and clearly he's in high school or junior high, and he's talking about he's in school, whatever, and again, like you think about it, that he's only been on Earth for what, a year, maybe 2, certainly not 20, 24, 30, almost in some iterations of Superman.
Because they said that there's been sightings of him, but they don't.
Well, no, clearly at this point he's
been all. They said he's been all over the
year.
globe, and there's been sightings, but it hasn't been anything that. It's been. It seems pretty recent.
So we jump right back into what we left last issue, which is Lois Lane is a member of Lazarus Corp, which is kind of like a Blackwater type of professional soldier type shit.
And they're soldiers. They're private. Like they're Blackwater.
She's got cuffs on him, and he's like, I can't break the cuffs. He keeps calling them chuffs, which I'm like,
what a weird.
I don't know, but
why
unnecessary? Unnecessary. Look, hey, by the way, he's not from here. I fucking know that, dude. He flies, and he's got a big old suit with an S on his chest.
So I have questions. Because you and I were like, okay, are we saying that he's like, his suit is super powered, he's getting all these powers, and I like how the issue 2 addresses that. No, he is still Superman, he's still bulletproof and all that, but it is this weird technology that we find out by the end of the issue that his mom created. That's like this weird artificial intelligence, but it's also wearable.
Like dust?
But there's like dust, and there's this stuff called sunstones that they're mining at the planet.
So this thing is trying to like get these special cuffs off because whatever. And the Lazarus guys show up and literally are like, suspect is resisting arrest. He's attacking.
The Peacemakers just light him up.
So they don't care about her. They fire at him, and his cape / dust. It's really fun.
That's what's interesting. Yeah, it's not a cape. It's dust. Like he still flies. And he has the ability to fly, but the dust kind of takes the purpose of the cape. And now, what this issue 2 is doing that I think you and I wanted issue 1 to do more of is, we're fleshing out what makes this Superman different. Okay, he doesn't have a cape. He came here as an adult.
This is a helicopter tank. It's fucking sweet.
And I'll be honest, I wasn't sure, and I this is intentional, I think, with what they're doing narratively. I was so disoriented at times trying to read this book. And what I mean is I'm the kind of guy who I'll read all the text right away because that's, but I am someone who likes to try and admire the art and look in the art as much as possible and trying to see everything, because I'm like, I don't want to just, I want to give the artists their due. I want to admire their work. And I didn't understand that it was dust at first, because it's red, and I think this is intentional. It looks like she's fucking exploding. Like, it looks like he shoots up in the air to fly, and he just rips her to pieces. And I think that's intentional, because you're like, what the hell is this?
What do you mean?
That shot, the splash page.
No, she's encased in the dust.
Yes, but the dust because I wasn't sure what was going on. I was
Well,
like,
also he says, "Don't let this tear in half." That's probably what you thought.
yeah, and then again, it's the story is playing with you of like, okay, it's this big red dust. It looks like it's blood, and it looks like
it looks like a cape,
turned into.
dude.
Oh Jesus Christ! Not this shot in particular.
Yeah, that shot
It
the
still
most.
looks like it's ripping her in half. It still looks like blood, does it not? Also, you're making me talk like freaking Walter from The Big Lebowski. At ragtime the room together.
Calmer than you are, dude.
Calmer than you.
No, but this is when I start going, okay, all right, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
no, this whole issue was awesome. I
And
really
then
liked
and then we get there and again like this dust and it's a bunch of, I don't really know what's going on down here in the South American stuff, and she's trying to get rid of him and he's trying to get rid of her cuffs, and they're talking about, he's like fuck you and she's like fuck you, and he wants to, he's a good dude is basically what she finds out. He gets out of there and everything, and all these people are trapped.
Yeah, because they're shooting missiles at the
So
civilians.
he takes his suit type thing, whatever, his dust and everything, and he helps save all these people, and she helps him do it. He
uses his ice breath.
his ice breath.
His laser eyes.
Yep. And there's one point.
Yeah, you kind of. This is the book also kind of showing you all of his powers and how they're going to interpret his powers, and done really effectively. Because like this is just very much a action-packed issue. Very like. This is what happened, and this is what I've liked about the Absolute Universe. And this is what I liked about Earth 1, and what we've talked about so many times on this show, especially when we talk about DC. It's so smart to get these veterans like Jason Aaron and Kelly Thompson and Scott Snyder to do these kind of books, because it's such an interesting way and cinematic way to show, okay, here's how you had questions in the first issue, here's how I'm going to answer all of them. And here's how I'm going to display all of his powers and show you how all of his powers in my story are different.
The dust is connected to his suit. If you notice by the end
yeah,
of
because it goes back into his suit.
Yeah, his suit reforms.
Yeah. I noticed that too, yeah.
So she starts figuring out that he's
so
good.
the narrative changes to her during a field Lois writing a field report on Superman. And you were with me when I was reading it, and I said, okay, and I chuckled. Because I said in the first issue, there were a few times I'm like, all right, Jason, you're a little bit on the fucking nose here, I get it. The people of Steel. And he says it again in this issue, and I'm like, that's still stupid, Aaron, I hate it, Jason. But I love that he's trying to be like, oh, well, my Lois doesn't like to write reports. Because she's like, I got to write a report. Don't let... Also, this was interesting. So Brainiac is like this AI that's connected to the Lazarus Core.
We think it's Brainiac. I don't know.
It looks like Brainiac. It might not be.
Yeah.
It's Ra's al Ghul because it's the Lazarus.
Hey, when haven't we seen a supervillain in front of a bank of televisions with a whole bunch of electrodes coming out of his skull and his back and his spine? When haven't we seen? It could be Lex Luthor.
There's a few of them where I went, okay.
It could be Lex Lazarus.
I see what you're doing there.
Yeah,
was when she's like, wait, you said you hate writing reports. I'm like,
oh,
my Lois
Nobody
doesn't like
hates
to write.
writing reports more than you. You once yelled at me for 30 minutes when I asked you to write a I know that.
Oh, and another joke was there's a shot of like Superman being a loner and walking on by himself, and there's a sign that says, Lazarus' death, and then it says the Omega Men, and it's, the Greek Omega symbol. And I'm like, oh, I see. Darkseid. We're going to tease Darkseid? Because remember...
No, Omega Man doesn't. No.
Why?
Apocalypse? Omega Men is a group of guys that were just a bunch of aliens. That's not necessarily Apocalypse and Darkseid.
I think it could be because if you remember,
but you're reading that wrong.
Remember?
You're reading.
Do you remember though?
Wrong.
Darkseid created this universe. It's probably not Darkseid. I'm not saying you're wrong. I don't need you to look it up. We're already an hour and a fucking half into the episode. Let's wrap it up. Let's talk about Absolute Superman #2. I'll concede to you that
extraterrestrial superheroes. It's so yeah, they're in space. There you go.
No, dang it.
La 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 la
Wow.
la 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 la.
So yeah, it pretty much wraps up with a flashback of his parents talking about the sunstone and the particle that he has on his suit.
And at
soul.
the end, Lois Lane is actually writing. And then we get this last thing where it's basically these
Peacemakers.
these peacemakers just blow away a bunch of innocent civilians.
But he says what's
Next.
going. One of them says what's
Next.
going on, Smith, and I told you I think that theory is because in DC canon, Christopher Smith is Peacemaker, and they keep saying his name's Smith. They don't say his first name. So my guess is like that dude is gonna be like
Maybe.
the Peacemaker.
Maybe.
But anyway,
Yeah.
much better than issue #1. I like it a lot. I think actually finally seeing what Jason Aaron and co are doing with Absolute Superman and like telling the story of what his Superman would be.
Yeah.
Big fan.
So, real quick before we move on to anything else, you said we have two other Absolute Comics titles coming at us, right? Green Lantern and The Flash.
I don't know when.
Right.
Yeah.
Let me ask you something.
What?
What
With it red
character-defining trait would you change about either one of those characters?
You make him slow. The Flash, like
I make the Flash slow and the Green Lantern blue.
yep. First of all, he's a Red Lantern because there's no will on this universe. There's just anger.
All right, so moving on. What's the last thing we were?
I honestly don't know how you do anything different with Green Lantern or Flash.
Right? I mean, Earth 1 Green
That's
Lantern.
the problem with the Trinity. The Trinity is the most
Green
one that you could do
yeah,
it the
but
most.
Earth
with.
1 was Earth 2 Green Lantern?
Earth 1, yeah, the Earth 1 already did it with
Those were great.
What if the ring doesn't actually choose you, you just find it and you use it. They've already done that. So I don't know. I'm interested as someone who's who
So,
loves that character.
We'll say that we will buy Flash,
Or loves
Absolute
that
Flash,
idea.
and Absolute Green Lantern 1. Sure. Okay.
Whatever. I'm just pleading so
Whatever.
desperately for that Lantern show to be good.
Off panel, off topic with Jake and Tyler.